time to grow with the SEO Queen. Receive the perfect leads like never before. No traffic is gonna explode. It's time to grow.
Welcome to the SEO Queen Tech Show, a podcast to help you get more credibility, visibility, and profitability through inspiration, technology, and marketing insight. This podcast is for professionals and entrepreneurs who are looking to get more customers, clients, and patients. On Bashani Radio, iHeartRadio, and iTunes, Bashani Radio, always talking about everything from New York City. You can listen to the SEO Queen Tech Show on any mobile phone or tablet device. Also, as a thank you gift for listening to the SEO Queen Tech Show, you can go to SEOqueen.com and download the free ebook 101 Ways to Improve Your Marketing and Sales. So today, my guest is a special woman. She is the founder of Sophia Alexandria LLC. She is a writer, speaker, coach, course creator, mother of 2 girls, and a fun gal. She's the creator of the online courses Ignite You, Uncover Who You Are, Foundational Steps to Becoming a Better You, and the masterclass How to Turn Your Breakup into a Wake Up. And she has been repeatedly featured on the Texas Metro News Station. She is a radio personality for NSF Radio and a member of the Powerhouse Squad that is featured weekly on Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. She has collaborated live with other influencers in the industry, and she has had over 900 people take her online courses. What an accomplishment. She is an author, and her soon to come out book is called Forever Unbroken: Overcoming Heartbreak. And this will be published and available for purchase soon. So I want to introduce to some and present to others Sophia Alexandria. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you? How's it going? Thank you so much for having me today.
Okay, great. I'm so glad you were able to come on. I know you're busy and everything, so this is great. So I remember many, many years ago, I was, just starting my brand, the SEO Queen. And I was going through a really bad breakup. It was kind of traumatic at the time. And I remember just being just so tired of feeling the way I was feeling. And so that started me on my journey of personal growth in a major, major way. So my question to you is, how did you tap into or start being interested in the aspect of personal growth when it comes to grief and breakup and just getting over the traumas that we deal with in life? What drew you to that?
Well, I'm going to have to go back for this one. How I started, I'm going to go back to my childhood, how I was raised. So I was raised originally from Louisiana, right? And I grew up in a household where my parents were, they were Christians. They brought us up in the word of the Lord and all of that. And we were taught to live this certain lifestyle. Hey, no sex before marriage, all of this stuff. And then my parents are still together today. And so I never thought that I would actually reach a point or arrive at a place where I would even consider divorce or think about it, or that would happen to me. So basically, I ended up getting married very early. So I probably was like 19 or 20 when I got married. I think I was just turned 20 or something like that. And I got married, and I ended up divorcing that marriage. And I never thought that experience would happen to me, because that's not what my parents taught me. If you'd asked me that before, I would have never guessed that. And so I ended up having a child in that marriage. And when I ended up divorcing, she was about 4 or 5 months or so, something like that. And so ended up getting divorced and then married again. And so got married, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be it. I am not divorcing again. It can't happen. I'm giving 100%. There's no way that it's not going to work. And I was just, saying, I'm doing whatever it takes. And I really loved this person. I gave my all and put everything into it. Marriage didn't last too long. So ended up divorced after maybe 2 years, something like that. And I was so heartbroken. I was like, okay, divorce once before, divorce again, and then have another child by the second husband. And I was just like, oh my gosh, what is going on with me? And then when I immediately when he left and made that decision and walked out of my life, I did not want to be here anymore. Those thoughts, it was depression. And at the time, I didn't know I was depressed, because I also thought, oh, that's not going to happen to me, because I'm always energetic. I'm always ready. My nickname is called Ready. Some of my girlfriends are like, oh, you know what? Let me tell you. Oh, never mind. I was like, what? No, I'm not going to tell you. I'm like, why? And like, because you're going to be asking me when. And so I'm just like, I'm always ready. And anybody that knows me, I'm like, okay, when is this happening? I'm ready. Let's go. But at that second divorce really broke me. It made me question who I was, my purpose. Why am I here? No, I didn't want to be here anymore. But then I have my daughters who are watching me cry, as I'm on the floor begging him not to walk out the door, and I have to think about, if I'm not here, who's going to take care of me? And at that time, I had moved from Louisiana to California, and most of my family is not there. So I'm just like, who's going to do that? But it was a tough place and a hard place for me to come to that decision of trying to self-reflect and trying to say, hey, I'm going to improve, because it didn't happen like right away at that moment, because I went through that phase of not caring, wanting to run away, wanting to hide, and not wanting to be there. Even at my job, I couldn't focus. Like, I would just people would talk to me and I wasn't really there. I could hear them. I know they're talking to me, but nothing they were saying to me was clicking. It wasn't coming through. It was just like words floating in the air with, all over the place, and they're not connected to me. And I would just break out crying. I was in a very dark place. But
so I have a question for you. So you said right before your second divorce happened, and your husband at the time told you that he was ready to leave the relationship, and you were on the floor. You said you were like crying and begging. Like,
yes,
what exactly was happening there?
Oh, well, he had already mentioned that he was going to leave. He was just tired. He didn't want to be married anymore. And then when that day finally happened, I was just begging him not to go. Let's work it out. And, because I had already made that commitment to myself, that I wasn't going to let this relationship break up for whatever reason. And so, yes, I was on the floor crying and begging and saying, please don't leave, don't please. And I actually, before that, when he first mentioned that he was going to be leaving, I was driving down Crenshaw Boulevard, Crenshaw and one of those in Inglewood.
I know exactly where that is.
Yeah, I think it's Crenshaw in Century. And
wow.
Yeah, and I had a panic
That's right over by LAX.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a panic attack driving. He had just mentioned that to me, and I called my brother, my eldest.
I was just about to say, I know, telling you while you're driving, that's not the best way.
Not. And I had a panic attack, and I was in my SUV, and thank God I had him on speed dial, I can just press that button because I could barely press anything. I couldn't talk and I couldn't control the car. And I'm just like going through lights and everything. And I'm like just trying to make out what he said. He said, Sophia, I cannot understand you, but it sounds like you need to call 911. And so I managed to call 911. And that was hard because they couldn't understand me, but they said, you need to pull over, whatever you're doing, pull over. And I sped through that parking lot where that Burlington coat factory is. And it was an older gentleman just looking, and he was like, what in the world is going on? Because I couldn't control. It took so much strength for me to stop. And because when I went into that relationship, I was just like, this cannot happen, because I'm like, I wasn't brought up this way, and it just can't happen. But what I later learned was that was all pride, because who am I that this cannot happen to me, So I think as time got passed, it not too much time, but time did pass, and me just thinking about my girls. So I would say that my two daughters were the reason why I turned around as quickly as I did. And also me always wanting deep down to, be the best person I could be, or be the best spouse that I could be. That also influenced it. But at that initial point, I did not want to be here. So I think that the daughters, my children, caused that turnaround, that say, hey, I have to be there for them, because if I'm not here, what is going to happen to them? And so then I started looking at myself and saying, why is it me? I said, I was married once, divorced, married twice, divorced again. So I need to take a look at myself, because a lot of times we're like, oh, yes, we look at the other person and say, you did this, you did that, and you're the reason why, and this and that. But we don't look at ourselves as often as we should and say, why did this affect me the way that it did? What was my contribution to this, and all of that. So that started my journey in the path that I am taking right now.
Wow. So after that happened, and after you went through divorce, and what put you on this path to develop these courses? Like how did that process begin? How did you take your pain and trauma and turn it into a tool to help encourage and empower other people?
Well, I think, that's always been in me, but I never knew it, because I would always be like in my 20s, what is my purpose? I don't know. Because, you hear these singers, they know their purpose, they know their gift. And I'm like, they got it easy. They have it made, because their gift is right. It's evident. It's obvious. And I'm like, what is it? But as I look over my whole entire life, even childhood, I always loved relationships, regardless if they were romantic or friendships, families, best friends. And I would always try to get girls together and, teach about love and teach about sharing. As a young kid, I would always make up these little groups and like, oh, you want to come in this group? We're going to be doing this. We're going to share. We're going to give. We're going to create. And, I would just do that. But I didn't think about it like that. I just love to do that. And so when I went through my experience and the pain that it caused me, and I was just like, it's so many people going through this. And it made me think about my grandmother, and both of them actually. But one of them I knew more of, that she definitely died of heartbreak, and her husband passed. And then the other one, she loved her husband so much that when he passed, she didn't want to be here anymore. And then people that I know died, going to the grave, not getting over their ex, still loving and not pursuing other relationships because they're stuck, not moving on, choosing not to move on, and, not having a desire to move on because they thought that was it and that's what they wanted. And so I'm like, it's so many people that are going through this. And I was like, how can I help them? And I naturally write. I wrote, would always write in elementary, junior high, and all of that. And so I would write all these things in my through my journey. And I was like, this is actually teachable stuff. This is like teachable moments, teachable experiences. And so that's how I ended up turning my experience and what I learned, what helped me, into a course where someone can actually take it and learn and grow from it.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Like, I think, a lot of people talk about, your business plan, making sure you did your market research and everything else. But, as a founder, as an entrepreneur, there's oftentimes a lot of emotional and psychological obstacles that you have to work through in order to get to your greater. And so what would you say are some strategies that entrepreneurs can use to work through their trauma and really, get over what's happened in the past that may prohibit them from moving on and embracing, better relationships?
So are you asking, like, you saying business wise or relationship? Can you repeat that question?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, one of the reasons why I worked with my soul coach, Dr. Janine Staples, is because I recognized, when I was going through my bad breakup many, many years ago, that it was just affecting every aspect of my life, both personally and professionally. And I really wanted to, break free of that trauma and just all of that, just dwelling on the past, dwelling on the pain, and I wanted to move past it and be equipped with tools to help me get to a greater plane. Because you mentioned that oftentimes people you know uh, go to the grave with their heart broken because they don't give themselves permission to be happy or to pursue happiness. And so, what would you advise, that heartbroken entrepreneur on how to like break through that heartbreak so that they can be, emotionally free to move forward and make progress in their lives?
Yes, definitely.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for making it plain and simple for me. But anyway, yes, so I recommend exactly what you said. Like you mentioned, you had a coach to help you. And a lot of times when we can't get to that place ourselves, that's exactly what a coach is for. A coach is, you have a goal in mind, you have a place that you want to be, but what you're doing is not working for you. That's what the coach is there to help you get to your goals, to achieve your goals. So if whatever you're doing is not working, then I do advise coaches, because I had a coach, that helped me with things that I'm working on, whether it's business, marketing, anything. So whatever your goal is. And then also, this is another good thing too, that I believe that addressing yourself, self-reflecting, and dealing with yourself. If you can't have a good relationship with yourself, how can you have a good relationship outside? And so when you do have a business, you're forming relationships, all around. So the best person to have a relationship with is yourself. And a lot of people, they spend less time working on themselves, or even understanding or knowing themselves, because a lot of people actually don't know who they are. They're just winging life, just going through the motions, and you ask them something they really don't know, they can't answer. So have that relationship with yourself. Know what it is that you need to focus on and improve on, and let go of the negative emotions, especially when it comes with relationships. When you do experience that tough breakup, you're holding on a lot of times when you're not moving on, you're holding on to a lot of negative emotions. And if you never release those emotions, you continue to carry those around with you. And then they begin to display, they automatically show themselves, and you can see it in people, And so, deal with yourself, address yourself, get a coach to help you with those goals that can guide you to achieving those things. So I definitely recommend it. So if something is not working out for you and what you're doing, seek help outside, and the courses that I do create, they're at your own pace. So you can take your time if you want. And it's almost just like the having a coach in the course, because it's so broken down that it's like you're talking to me, and I'm telling you these things, but you're getting the actions necessary. I'm telling you the action steps you need to take to get there. So I do recommend getting outside help. And a lot of people, they think, oh, heartbreak, with time, baby, you'll get over it. Just take some time. No. If you never address the issue, then the only thing that is going to change is time. So how many people have you heard of that maybe you either somebody said something to you, or you said something to them, you just heard about it, that people, oh, she never got over him, or he never got over her, he's still stuck. And guess what? Years have passed. And some of my students, 12 years, 22 years, I haven't gotten over this. And you'll be like, oh, wow. You think it's kind of like, oh, wow, that's a long time to not have gotten over somebody, not to have moved on. But time will continue to go forward and move forward. If you never address what's holding you back, then nothing will change.
Wow. It's important to have that closure. So important to have that closure and to be able to move on to other graders. So,
Yes.
I think, to I guess, most people, they're like, what does emotions and trauma and getting over, bad breakups have to do with business? It has everything to do with business, because as you do one thing, you do another thing. And, you know, this word, being professional, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's hard to do when you're emotionally
Mm-hmm.
emotionally distraught. So I mean, what do you say to the entrepreneur who's like, okay, I'm listening to the SEO Queen Tech Show. What does, trauma and grief have to do with business? Like,
With
why should I care?
so yeah. Because everything is emotional. When you experience anything, there's some sort of emotion attached to it. So what is emotions? Energy in motion. So what energy are you associating with whatever you're experiencing? So if you're experiencing something negative, and the emotion that you decide to attach to that experience, let's just say it's a negative emotion, whatever negative emotion you want to have, bitterness, anger, jealousy, or whatever, you continue to carry that on with you. You never release it, and you just continue to carry. So when you do make these business decisions, it's like, let me see if I can explain it. It's like you're carrying these negative emotions, making these decisions based off a negative experience. So until you change that and make it healthy, then you can make decisions in a healthy way. So it's kind of like when you carry all of these negative emotions, it's kind of like, you can call it a lack of, it's okay. I'm not saying that is wrong to feel, how you're feeling or have the emotions that you are having. But if your emotions are holding you back, causing a negative mindset, then you do need to release that, because anything that you come to make a decision out of from um, anything that you make a decision on with the negative emotions attached to that, you're not coming from a overall healthy mindset or choice. So usually we attract what we are. So that's kind of like what I'm trying to say. So basically, when we have all these negative things attached to us, then we attract more negativity. So until we change that and make that healthy, then we can make decisions in a healthy way, which causes attraction that is healthy, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. So, how can my listeners connect with you?
My website is sophiaalexandria.com. I am on Instagram and Facebook, but I am more on Facebook. So you can follow me by going to facebook.com// you're so damn amazing. And then also my courses are on my website. You just check out my goodies, and I would love to hear from you.
Oh, that's awesome. So, do you have any other final thoughts or shout outs you want to make?
I do want to mention my course, Foundational Steps to Becoming a Better You. That's my basic course, only $37 right now. It gives you so much. You can check out what's included there on my website, but I do recommend starting with that, because that course will get you on the right path if you are struggling with moving on.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, you've heard it here. You're listening to the SEO Queen Tech Show. And my guest today is Sophia Alexandria, the founder of Sophia Alexandria LLC. She's a writer, speaker, coach, course creator, mother of two girls, and she is definitely helping people learn how to turn your breakup into a wake up. And I just want to say thank you so much, Sophia, for coming on to the show. And thanks again.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right.